So, the announcement. Pretty excited. We go back on TV starting on Monday. The program simulcast on WFXV starting Monday morning. Pretty excited about that, right?
Absolutely.
All right. And on the, Christine had the story about the medical mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So on the list, what kills people in America most? So there's disease, heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
Heart disease is number one.
Yeah.
Number two is maybe automobile accidents. I don't know.
I'm going to
Is
look
it
at
still?
them.
I'm making this up. And number three is medical mistakes.
Very scary.
So your line is, of course, yeah.
That's why they practice, right?
Practice, yeah. Practice does make perfect.
Practice medicine.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to make light of that because, it's unfortunate, I think. It's the number 3 killer. You're talking about we hear about this stuff all the time. When you do crazy news, a guy goes in for a leg amputation from the knee down and they take both legs. What was the story recently where someone went to the dentist, and not that this would kill you, but someone went to the dentist to have a tooth removed, and the dentist took out all the teeth and said that was the only way I could get to the one tooth is if I took them all out, which seems impossible
without
to
even
me.
talking to anybody, without getting permission or anything.
So, as crazy as this sounds, this is costing people their lives.
Here it is. Heart disease, number 1. Cancer, number 2.
Yeah.
And number 3 is medical mistakes, medical error.
So when we say number 3, they are saying that of 35.4 million hospitalizations every year, 251,000 people die from medical errors every year. That's a lot of people.
You wonder why your
cities.
insurance is so high. They got to be getting sued left and right.
Yeah.
That's cities.
And, in some cases, people don't. I think there are cases where people don't know.
Well,
Right.
you're right.
There's a mistake and they don't know. And then you hear these cases where the woman had surgery 10 years ago and she keeps having pains. And,
Yeah.
they pull out a surgical glove 10 years later out of her body.
Mm-hmm.
It's just some crazy things happen. All right, back to crazy stories if you can. Did you see the story about the super bee?
No.
This is actually on it's on YouTube, and it shows a nail that had been plugged into, it was a hole in a brick wall, and there was a nail, it was a roofing nail, and they videotaped it, and they showed this mason bee, they call it. So, these are bees that, they burrow. It shows the bee removing the nail.
What?
Yeah. The bee got inside and pushing the head of the nail, pushed the nail out of the brick. It's incredible. Just shows you what these insects can do. They're going to take over the world. That's a true story, by the way. Jimmy Kimmel, a lot of people talking about this. It happened the other night. ABC's Jimmy Kimmel took a swing at former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin on his late-night talk show on Monday, criticizing the Republican for denying climate change. And he did it in this manner. And a lot of people seem to be talking about this one. Listen to
I want to talk about
Jimmy
Sarah
Kimmel.
Palin. You remember her, the former governor of Alaska, the big hair? Anyway, Sarah Palin has been making the rounds lately promoting an anti-climate change documentary, a movie called Climate Hustle. The gist is that climate change is a hoax and we shouldn't worry about it. It was shown in around 400 theaters tonight, and Sarah Palin is supporting it.
I want people to feel empowered to ask questions about what is being fed them from the science community, that something's not making a whole lot of sense when it comes to inconsistent data that is being produced and being fed, especially to our children, when it comes to global warming or climate change, whatever they're calling it today.
That was one sentence, by the way. One very long, very dumb sentence. And here's another one.
It's perpetuated. It's repeated so often that too many people believe that, oh, well, I guess if 97% of all scientists believe that man's activities are creating changes in the weather, who am I to question that?
Exactly.
And
Who
this is
are you to
Alaska.
question that? Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Alaska.
Yeah.
I have a theory. I think maybe Sarah Palin wants global warming. It's cold in Alaska.
That's my theory on the whole thing. I would enjoy some global warming around here.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I don't know. I have a photo of myself on Christmas Day sitting out on my patio at 65 degrees. I think that global warming is good, and we should continue with it, to be honest. Might not be good for other parts of the world. You know, there might not be a Louisiana when we're all said and done, or Florida. But, hey, for us up here, I think we're going to be safe for a little while.
You know, this was like 10 years ago, but I remember a funny stand-up that Drew Carey did, and part of it was he's out there with like an aerosol can, and he's like, screw the grandkids, it's cold out here.
All right, so I'll play the scientist part of this, but I guess my take on the whole thing is, even if you don't believe in it, do you believe in the fact that we would be in a better place if we weren't polluted?
Right.
If the air that you breathe in is clean air. I mean, think about in like China, for instance. I mean, these people have to walk around with masks on because there are no regulations, and they just continue to pollute the air. So forget the global warming part. It's just the smog that you breathe in. Aren't you better off if you don't breathe that in? Isn't the world a better place if we don't pollute?
Aren't there
you don't
fewer
throw
cases of
garbage
asthma?
out all over. It's just a better place, right?
Right.
So forget global warming. Just be okay with making it a better place to live.
You know, I have some issues with the global warming, and I can rattle off a couple examples, but I'm 100% with you. Like, why not make the air a little cleaner?
I understand it costs money, and it costs, we regulate, and the rest of the world doesn't, and which means it drives up costs for companies and ultimately for products. But at the end of the day, if smoking is bad for you, then is breathing in smog. And you see some of the smog. There are pictures of it in some of our major cities, especially out in Los Angeles, and you see pictures of the smog, and they have smog alerts on TV. That stuff is real, and I just would think that probably isn't good to breathe in, and you can look at it that way.
You had me until that last sentence.
What would Sarah Palin say? Gotta wonder. At the end of the day,
Can I just play the role of Sarah Palin for a second here? In 2009, this is from the Daily Caller, okay? Where do I want to begin? There's so many. United Kingdom Prime Minister Gordon Brown said in 2009, we have 50 days to save the world from global warming. Prince Charles in 2009 said that if we don't change the climate and the ecosystem, everything will collapse, and we had 4 years to do it. The UN's top climate scientist said in 2007, we had 4 years to save the world. If there's no action before 2012, it's too late. The Daily Caller says, well, it's 2015. This was last year, and no new UN climate treaty has been presented. So the problem that this argument has is that it seems like it's just like the end of the world. Every time that date comes and the world doesn't end, they go, well, it's actually in 2022.
This is the problem with, first of all, there are big companies that don't want the regulation. And there are lobby groups that lobby against whatever a scientist is going to say. That's a fact. The other thing is, this is very much like the drug campaign that was put on in the 70s and 80s. They told you all these drugs were going to kill you, and then they didn't. Marijuana was going to kill you, and it didn't. So all of a sudden, you begin to say, I don't believe anything they say. It's when they try to exaggerate to get you to believe, because in their mind it's the right thing to do. When you find out it's not true, you don't believe anything.
Right.
Which is why I don't believe anything my mother says.
Oh, come on.
Oh, stop it.
You know what she lied to me about.
Poor Mrs.
Stop
Keeler.
it. Stop.
Okay, here's Christine with an update.